our moon. But what happened to the rest of Theia is still a mystery. The existence of blobs of material inside Earth's mantle, known as low shear velocity provinces, could be evidence that parts of Theia fused with Earth. These chunks are up to 1,000 kilometers in height and several times that in width. They sit below Africa and the Pacific Ocean, straddling Earth's core like a pair of headphones. But other theories, some dating back centuries, suggest a completely different explanation of what exists under the surface. A lush tropical paradise for aliens. The Earth consists of 4 layers: the crust, the mantle, and the outer and inner core. But there hasn't been any successful exploration below the crust, so there's much we don't know about the realities below the surface. This has led to spectacular speculation like the hollow Earth theory. According to this theory, our planet could be a series of nested spheres centered around a central core. In between these shells, atmospheres could exist that are capable of supporting life. In the 17th century, Edmund Halley, the scientist who discovered Halley's Comet, backed this theory. Many others have added to it, suggesting a small sun could be hanging in the center of the Earth, and plants, animals, and humans could be living there. And not just humans, but a race of superhumans. Immortals who possess sophisticated technology to build hundreds of subterranean cities. But if there were aliens inside the Earth, what would the conditions for life be? Could the inside of our planet be a luscious paradise? Or a hot, hellish dump? If you were to visit one of the low shear velocity provinces, you'd have to go 2,900 kilometers below the surface. Here, you'd be surrounded by magma or liquid rock, with temperatures as high as 3,700 degrees Celsius. And the weight of the crust and mantle above you would increase the pressure to over 237,000 times the atmospheric pressure, on the surface of the Earth. Whatever life you find here would need to exist in these extreme conditions. And these life forms would need to evolve to extract oxygen directly from the magma, or live without it. They'd need to survive without any sunlight. Radiation would be the primary energy source. And lucky for them, the radioactive decay of uranium, thorium, and potassium in the Earth's crust and mantle already account for the primary source of heat in the Earth's interior. There could be all kinds of undiscovered creatures down there, but until you could withstand the pressure and heat to find out, we'll never know. And as for the hollow Earth, well, it's nice to imagine a paradise world underneath our feet instead of layers upon layers of hot molten rock. And who knows, maybe there is alien life down there. Just like all those underwater aliens. For over half a century, we've searched for radio signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. But it's been, a little quiet. Are they ignoring us? Or have aliens already made contact without us knowing it? The truth could be hiding in plain sight. How has technology helped us look for extraterrestrial life? Could bacteria contain secret alien messages? And what if aliens already live among us? This is What If, and here's what would happen if we've already made first contact with aliens. Since the 1960s, scientists at SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, have had their ears to the skies, listening for signals that could prove the existence of extraterrestrial life. Recently, bizarre and intermittent fast radio bursts were detected coming from a spiral galaxy like the Milky Way, 500 million light-years from Earth. Some scientists wonder if these pulsating signatures from space are the result of mini black holes, or pulsars, or even alien megastructures. But could these signals actually be aliens trying to communicate with us? Scientists at Harvard theorized that the energy needed to send a radio signal to a distant galaxy would require a planet twice the size of Earth covered in energy collectors. While it is possible, scientists have found an easier way for aliens to talk to us. And according to Robert Zubrin, it could involve teeny tiny interstellar light sails. This idea has been gaining enough ground that the Breakthrough Starshot project is working on nano spacecraft. Someday, they hope to beam them all the way to Alpha Centauri. While tiny spacecraft could travel great distances, bacteria could potentially survive the journey as well. This is because it's easy for a bacterium to duplicate itself. And as microorganisms, they are small enough to overcome the gravity of stars, making it possible for them to travel interstellar distances. Hypothetically, a microbial nanocraft could be beamed from Earth and travel a distance of 1 light-year every 10,000 years. In 50,000 years, it could reach nearby stars. But why would aliens be sending us bacteria? Well, the answer is in DNA. Just 1 gram of bacteria could be encoded with about 900 terabytes of DNA data. Imagine a 200-page book. Now, imagine 2 billion of these books. That's how much data. In fact, microbiologists think that alien messages may already exist, hidden in DNA here on Earth, waiting to be decoded. Researchers suggest these messages could be found by determining which bacteria could survive the conditions of space. In fact, some astrobiologists on the ISS have experimented to see if all life on Earth could have come from extraterrestrial microbes. This theory, known as panspermia, suggests that microbes may have hitched a ride on a comet that crashed into Earth. So, maybe we're the aliens. Okay, but are we really alone? While microbial alien messages could exist, we're still not sure what these alien messengers might look like. We're mostly familiar with terrestrial life, where all living beings are made from cells using molecular machinery. With most life here on Earth being carbon-based, we might just be looking for the wrong kind of life. Many biochemists suggest that silicon-based life forms could exist. In fact, some scientists, including British chemist and astronaut Helen Sharman, suggest that aliens could exist in a place we cannot see or study, known as a shadow biosphere. These invisible aliens could exist at a microscopic level, beyond our comprehension. With recent UFO sightings being declassified by the Pentagon, many people believe that aliens have already visited us. Maybe in the not-too-distant future, with the help of SETI, we'll finally prove that we're not alone. For more on this, tune into our What If Discussed podcast. This week, we talked to Dr. Andrew Siemian, astrophysicist and director of the Berkeley SETI Research Center. He'll join us for a deeper dive into the subject and update us on SETI's progress in its comprehensive search for alien communications. What if you found out that you had a long-lost relative? And what if that long-lost relative was from a different planet in our galaxy? And what if this faraway planet was home to billions of humans, just like Earth? But these humans don't look anything like us because they're from the future. Could aliens be future versions of humans? How far ahead of us would they be? How much would they have evolved? Would we be able to understand each other? And what would meeting future humans mean for humanity on Earth? This is What If, and here's what would happen if aliens were future humans. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico. You all know this story, but could it really be aliens? The mysterious object was officially declared to be a U.S. Army Air Force balloon. But then, decades later, U.S. Navy Commander George W. Hoover, who had top-secret clearance, revealed that the mysterious crash involved time-traveling humans. Somehow, these future humans had developed the technology to overcome the technological limitations that prevent us present-day humans from making the same type of trip. Some theories suggest that these future humans travel back in time in order to understand their biological past. Maybe these same time travelers helped our ancestors to make huge leaps in scientific and technological knowledge in a relatively short amount of time. But if any of these theories are true, should we be prepared for another alien-human visit sometime in the near future? And what might we expect from this close encounter of the third kind? If future humans, were to come and visit us again, they would probably look similar to how they appear in movies. Like us, they'd still walk on 2 feet, but their heads and their eyes would be much larger. This fits with predictions of how present-day humans will continue to evolve. We can expect our heads to be bigger and our upper skull to become more rounded to accommodate a larger brain. And as our civilization advances enough for interplanetary travel, our eyes would get bigger so we can see better in dimmer environments that are further away from the sun. Future humans might also find a way to slow the aging process. So it would be possible to make several trips to places thousands of light years away within one lifetime. If we want to travel somewhere that's 60,000 light years away, and if our technology could do it, then it would be a 60-year flight for anyone on board. But when they got back to Earth, 60,000 years would have passed. We'd like to think that humans of the future would solve this problem so they could visit Earth and come home to tell their family and friends about their trip. But if future humans find a way to live for thousands of years, would that lead to a massive overpopulation on whichever planet they inhabit? Well, chances are, if they make it possible to live that long, they will probably succeed in optimizing their existence before that. Their civilization would undoubtedly be a lot more efficient than ours. The reason being is that they could be centuries, if not millennia, ahead of us in evolutionary terms. Future humans would be a lot smarter, and they'd have better technology to maximize their space and live in densely populated worlds without producing the same high levels of pollution that we do on Earth. In fact, you could bet that future humans wouldn't just have better technology, they'd be technology. Just like some humans today have implants to perceive sound or to detect atmospheric pressure, the humans of the future would likely have dozens of technological implants to make their lives easier. think about everything your cell phone does for you. Now, imagine you could command it with your thoughts and that it would only be a small chip in your brain. A chip or implant like that might also explain why those who claim to have encountered aliens have said that the aliens spoke to them in their native language. Could future humans simply have automatic language translators implanted in their brains? Or would humans of the future evolve past different languages, instead using one universal language, like Esperanto? If you think this topic has more to it than just a what if, then why don't you join us on the What If Discussed podcast? We go further in depth with the possibilities of aliens actually being humans from the future with Dr. Mike Masters of Montana Tech University, who has written a book postulating that aliens are actually future humans traveling back in time to better understand their past, by better understanding us.
We are Venom.
What do you get when you take an alien parasite and smush it together with a human being? Would you get to become a supercharged, head-eating anti-hero like Venom? Or would you die a slow and painful death? I never thought I'd say this, but I think I prefer to be the guy who eats people's heads off.
I have a parasite.
Today, you're getting infected with your very own alien parasite. How would it mess with your brain? Would you lose control of your body? And what's it like to share a body with Venom?
You are a loser.
This is What If, and here's what would happen if you got infected by an alien parasite. With the release of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, we've been thinking non-stop about symbiotes. But before we infect you with a parasite from outer space, let's introduce you to your body's new roommate. Venom is a sentient, amorphous alien parasite called a symbiote. Symbiotes infect and hijack their hosts' bodies, taking on portions of their host's personality. For example, you throw one on a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, you get an edgy web-slinger. If you do the same to a serial killer, you're gonna get something like Carnage. Thankfully, the relationship between Venom and his human host, Eddie Brock, is more akin to an old married couple. A very dangerous old married couple. But you? We're not sure you'll be so lucky. First, the symbiote would make its way into your brain. What would Venom do up there? Well, we may find our answer in a parasite that didn't come from outer space, but from cat poop. Toxoplasma gondii, aka the feline parasite, is a microscopic neurological parasite known for altering the behavior of sheep, goats, pigs, cows, rats, and, cats. While in the stomach of their carrier host, the itty-bitty parasite eggs called oocytes morph into dangerous microbes called tachyzoites. Next, the parasite starts setting up shop in your body and makes a move on your brain. Studies have shown that rats infected with Toxoplasma gondii have their brains so rewired by the parasite that it causes them to get a little frisky when they smell cats. Which, as you can guess, goes about as well as trying to get a smooch from Carnage. And if that wasn't freaky enough, did you know that this parasite may have already infected 30% of the human population, including 60 million Americans? Yeah, ever since the start of the 20th century, when we started getting into cats as pets, as the number of domesticated kitties grew, so did cases of schizophrenia. researchers have linked this spike to an increase in the presence of Toxoplasma gondii in humans. Well, your parasite didn't want to be buddies like Venom. It wants to use you as food, kind of like the cordyceps fungus. You know, that super disturbing zombie ant fungi? When the cordyceps fungus takes over an ant, it forces that little worker to bite down on a leaf and stay put until it dies. In the meantime, the parasite feeds off the ant for 3 weeks, growing out of the ant's head and creating more infectious spores. This wouldn't look good for you either. With your infection, the parasite would know that you're smarter than some blue-collar worker ant, meaning it wouldn't try to take over your nervous system. Instead, it would go right to taking control of your muscles, all while you helplessly watch. So, it seems sharing your body with a parasite isn't quite the comic book adventure Venom makes it out to be. And if it's anything like the Loa Loa eye worm, it sounds terrifying. Measuring up to 10 millimeters in length, the eye worm can hide away in the human tissue anywhere from 10 to 15 years. Yeah, it also does this cute little thing where it squirms across your eyeball, leaving larvae in its wake. If these larvae get close enough to your thinker, you could develop brain disease like encephalopathy. So, if you do find yourself infected with an alien parasite, we'd recommend holding off starting your life as a superhero and maybe take a trip to your nearest emergency room instead. You know, when it comes to aliens, safety is very important. What are you doing? Are you eating the alien parasite? What if you ate an alien? What if I told you we discovered an alien species with an adaptable body, advanced intelligence, and astounding camouflage skills? Enter the Octopus. Wait, what did you think I was talking about? Could these slithery ocean dwellers be from outer space? Where did they come from? And how did they get to Earth? This is What If, and here's what would happen if octopuses are aliens from outer space. Alright, it's time to put your tinfoil helmet on because today, we're getting a little out there. Octopuses are as cool as they are mysterious. So mysterious that some scientists are putting the theory forward that they aren't even from our planet. Octopuses are incredibly intelligent creatures and are masters of disguises. They can use their color-changing cells to blend in with the environment, move their arms to impersonate other ocean species, and are excellent problem solvers. So what if they're so smart that they've pulled a fast one on all of us? What if they're really aliens and have only convinced us that they originated here on Earth?
It's genetics. Absolutely unearthly.
The theory goes that 500 million years ago, an icy meteorite carrying an alien life form fell to Earth. This life form fertilized octopus eggs. Mind blown. Case closed. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Okay, I can see you're skeptical, so let's go a little deeper. You're probably asking, how the heck is an alien life form going to survive in the cold reaches of space before getting to Earth? Well, here's the thing. Microbes, such as those seen in bacteria, are extremely tough. Microbes can thrive in temperatures as low as -18 degrees and can even be preserved in liquid nitrogen at -196 degrees. This means that they couldn't care less about the extreme pressures of space. and, in theory, could float around for billions of years before hitting a planet. But if the octopus did crash land on Earth 500 million years ago, where did it come from? Well, we know the octopus is a water creature, so let's start there. Our bet is Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Europa has an icy exterior and might have a liquid ocean underneath. Seems like a cozy space for an interplanetary octopus, right? Could a massive asteroid have smashed into Europa 500 million years ago, resulting in huge chunks of debris being torn out into space? And if so, could some of that debris have held octopus eggs in it? The answer is maybe. Call me Fox Mulder because I want to believe, but this is some really far out stuff. Is calling an octopus an alien the only way to explain them? I mean, we have plenty of weird creatures on Earth without extraterrestrial interference. In 2015, scientists were able to map the genome of the octopus. Did they find some surprises? Sure they did, but an alien origin story wasn't one of them. The most significant discovery was that their genes split off from squids about 135 million years ago, which is long after they allegedly crashed into Earth. So, could octopuses really be from outer space? Well, it's a fascinating theory, but as of today, it doesn't have the science to back it up. And even though they're not from outer space, it doesn't mean we can't still learn from them. But don't take our word for it. Ask award-winning environmental journalist and the director of the documentary My Octopus Teacher, Pippa Ehrlich. Join us on What If Discussed to take a deeper dive into the world of these fascinating creatures. Something is emerging from the Mariana Trench and it does not belong on this planet. If aliens lived in the deepest place in the ocean, what would they look like? How would they communicate with one another? And what would happen if we dared to contact them? This is What If, and here's what would happen if there were aliens at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. There's a reason why the idea of aliens living at the bottom of the sea keeps popping up in popular culture. Many of us are far more afraid of what lies down there than whatever's looking down at us from up in space. After all, 80% of the ocean is still unmapped and unexplored. We have better maps of the Moon, Mars, and Venus than we do of our seafloor. The most mysterious part of our oceans is the Mariana Trench. Its deepest point, the Challenger Deep, stretches 11 kilometers down. The Mariana Trench is anything but a great vacation spot. No light is able to reach its bottom, and temperatures are just a few degrees above freezing. Not to mention its crushingly high water pressure. So, how could aliens survive the deepest spot in the ocean? The water pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench is over 1,000 times the atmospheric pressure that you're used to at sea level. This kind of pressure would crush anything, even the toughest deep-sea robots we've ever built. But some living things managed to adapt and thrive under such pressing conditions, like translucent snailfish and sea cucumbers. The Heidel snailfish, known as the deepest living fish, flourishes at depths of over 8 kilometers. Unlike you, deep-sea fish don't have pockets to store air in their bodies. That oxygen inside your lungs is what gives you the feeling of pressure whenever you take a dive. No air means this fish has a higher tolerance to the weight of all that water above it. Whatever aliens were lurking down below would share the same characteristic. storing air just wouldn't be their thing. But what would they do for food? Well, it's likely they'd imitate their seafloor neighbors once again. Deep-sea creatures gorge on the decaying remains of microbes, algae, or animals from above. Our sunken ships might be their version of a surprise buffet. Any extraterrestrial life down at the pit of the trench would probably eat similar food. They'd burrow into the biggest carcasses they could find and consume what's left from the inside out, like a giant hagfish does. Or they might possess enormous mouths and expandable stomachs, allowing them to catch and digest large quantities of food as they move. And those big mouths of theirs would also be filled with long fangs pointed inward. This would enable them to catch and hold on to other deep-sea creatures or, any other prey that just so happens to dive a little too far from the surface. Hey, don't judge them. In a habitat as precarious as the Mariana Trench, aliens would need to capitalize on any and all sources of nutrition. They'd also have to go the extra mile in order to let one another know that they're out there in the pitch dark. That's because sunlight can only travel up to 1 kilometer into the ocean. Anywhere deeper than that, and you wouldn't be able to see a thing. So, how would our underwater aliens put the notice out that they're around? Well, 2 ideas: by sound and by light they produce themselves. Like fireflies, deep-sea creatures are able to produce and emit their own light, thanks to a process called bioluminescence. With it, aliens would be able to connect with each other through specific lighting patterns. For long-distance communication, they could send out sound waves across enormous distances in the water, like the humpback whale, who's able to sing in the Caribbean and be heard off the west coast of Ireland, 6,400 kilometers away. Now, what would first contact with this underwater species look like for us? Well, we'd have to get there first. We'd need a vessel strong enough to withstand the constantly intensifying pressure. The tiniest of cracks would squash you and your submarine faster than you can say human jam. Once down there, we'd have to take into account that living at the bottom of the sea would be like living on another planet. If aliens existed in the otherworldly depths of the Mariana Trench this entire time, they may not want to be friendly neighbors. And the darkness alone would make it difficult to locate and study our subjects. Before approaching these extraterrestrials, we'd have to assess their communication style first, slowly and patiently. We'd need to understand how they interact with their environment, too. That is, assuming they don't feel threatened by our presence and decide to do something about it. Trust goes both ways when you're trying not to be crushed or eaten in the name of science. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we humans discovered a new species and thought, cool, I wonder if it tastes like chicken.
This just in. Visitors from beyond the stars have arrived. What secrets could our intergalactic friends share? What wonders could these space chums unveil?
They do not come in peace. The aliens have arrived, and they're here to lay down the law. Humans are no longer at the top of the food chain, and we're now at the mercy of our alien overlords. I, for one, welcome our alien overlords. What would our new alien masters do with us? And why did they invade Earth? This is What If, and here's what would happen if we became enslaved by aliens. For centuries, humans have been calling the shots on Earth. Just ask the animals we use as food, keep in zoos, hunt for sport, or even have around the house as pets. we're in for quite the shock when our new intergalactic masters show up and give us a taste of our own medicine. What exactly would they do to us? Well, we may become the new animals. We'd be treated as a commodity to be bought, traded, and sold. And if these aliens are anything like we are, we'd also be their lunch. Human cells are made up of proteins, nucleic acids, and membranes. If the aliens had the same basic biochemistry as us, they would be able to convert our tasty, nourishment-filled bodies into energy for themselves. Would aliens start farming us en masse? What sort of intergalactic economy could be created by using humans like livestock? In China alone, the pork industry is worth $128 billion and has 433 million pigs ready to barbecue. There are 17 times as many humans on the planet. To an alien food connoisseur, would we be just as tasty? Human burger, anyone? What if we were seen as a delicacy to be distributed across the universe? Or what about just pieces of human? Even to us, body parts are a hot commodity. A heart is $1.4 million to transplant and worth $119,000 on the open market. Kidneys are around the $200,000 mark. Livers are $157,000 and bone marrow is $23,000 a gram. We're dealing with human economics here, but this idea can be applied to the concept that we are Earth's new cattle. We're a living organism that might be sold to someone or something somewhere in space. But what if the aliens didn't think we were delicious? What if they thought we were cute? Well, in the US, there are nearly 70 million dogs being kept as pets and 74 million cats. Brazil has 191 million feathered best friends. Would the aliens keep us as pets? Or even worse, what if they kept us in captivity and gawked at us? You know, like we do with animals in zoos. There are approximately 6,000 species in zoos around the world, about 8 million animals in total. The aliens may not have as much variety in human zoos, but we sure are an entertaining bunch. Imagine a group of alien children on a school trip, watching you in your natural habitat. "See, children," lectures the alien headmistress, "the human is on its phone again." So there's not a lot to look forward to. But it makes us think about what the aliens would get out of Earth in the first place. Well, the Earth looks like a nice place to set up shop. On paper, Earth has plate tectonics that help to keep the climate stable, a global magnetic field that keeps solar winds from getting close, and the added bonus of a moon that stops Earth from wobbling on its axis too much. That combination would look appealing to the aliens, and it's something they might have a difficult time finding anywhere else. And what about us? Well, we already know we'd not only be delicious, but profitable. With the aliens having a monopoly on the human market, they could start making more rewarding changes to their new home. Considering that they're intelligent enough to travel light years to get here, how hard could it be to redevelop a planet? The truth is, we don't know for sure what the aliens' plans would be. This is only one of several scenarios that could happen if we faced an alien invasion. What if the aliens are already planning to head our way, surveying the land and getting to know these strange humans who call Earth home? Scientists have pieced together a pretty clear picture of what life was like on Earth thousands, even millions of years ago. But if you fast forward 1 million years from now, would alien civilization be doing the same to learn about us? What would Earth look like 1 million years from now? What remains of human civilization would still be around? And would we end up clones in a human version of Jurassic Park? This is What If, and here's what would happen if aliens came to Earth 1 million years in the future. We're living in the Anthropocene epoch, and in this historical period, the human impact on the world around us has been significant enough to geologically alter it. 100 years from now, it could be an era defined by ecological collapse and mass extinction. Big bummer, right? Now, there's no way for us to know how or when our species may take its final walk on our home planet. A team of alien scientists could find evidence of nuclear fallout, climate change, or maybe a massive asteroid that ended our existence. Or maybe they'd even find us already living on another planet. Maybe 1 million years from now, you'd be an alien on board a starship that has just entered into orbit around Earth.
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
But despite your best efforts to scan the planet below for intelligent life, you'd find nothing. Your trip down to the surface would be slightly delayed by an ongoing supervolcanic eruption. The planet would be blanketed in the darkness of ash. You might even have to wait a few years for your alien crew to clean it up before you could even land. Finally, you'd get approval to visit Earth. Down there, you'd find everything to be barren and lifeless. Storms, fires, and earthquakes would have erased nearly all signs of immediately visible life. But your team of archaeologists and paleontologists would know that if they wanted to find evidence of past civilizations, they better start digging. You'd be investigating what are called boundary layers. These are geological signatures that indicate a transition from one period to the next. So you'd be looking for animal and plant fossils, as well as changes in rock layers. You could find a thin layer of clay that marks the boundary to our Anthropocenic era. The top layer would contain not much more than small fossilized remains of a few plant species. The layer below would contain older rock, but not only that, there would be an abundance of diverse plant fossils. This would be a breakthrough for your team, as they'd now confirm there was some form of mass extinction period. As you searched through this layer, the nature of what happened to Earth over the past million years would be revealed. You'd discover an unnatural amount of carbon deposits from fossil fuel emissions, evidence of global temperature changes, and widespread chemical pollutants. But the effects of climate change may have reversed themselves over the 1 million years humans have been absent. If your team were to uncover the regions where our coastal populations used to be, you could excavate the remains of cities relatively well preserved in the sedimentary rock. Imagine discovering the ancient subway tunnels and sewers of New York. But nothing you would find would be in pristine condition. Bricks would have gone from their characteristic red to gray, and steel would have rusted and dissolved, leaving only imprints in the soil. Finally, you'd make the biggest discovery of all: fossilized human bones. Just like the dinosaurs, these too would most likely only be found encased in sedimentary rock. Almost all of the fossils of dinosaurs that we discover today are from species that would have lived near lakes or rivers that flooded. Floods covered their remains in mud and silt very quickly, and this prevented their bones from rotting. The same would apply to Homo sapiens. Your alien team would piece together the puzzle that many of these human fossils were the result of catastrophic floods or tsunamis. And based on how much these bones have fused with the rocks around them, your team could start to assemble a timeline of our unfortunate demise. Usually, bones take decades to decompose. If buried in a dry environment like a funeral casket, they could last for 100 years. Mummified bones can survive thousands of years. Finding any of these would tell your team that the last humans to walk the Earth weren't all that far in the past. But discovering only fossilized remains would reveal our extinction point being further back than you'd hoped. There wouldn't be any samples of soft tissues like muscles, just rocks that used to be bones. Oh, but you'd probably find fossilized plastic in the layers of sedimentary rock too. It's not yet known how long plastic waste needs to decompose into organic matter. It could take hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Or, as you and your crew could discover, millions. What you'd keep your hopes up for would be the real Holy Grail: human DNA. The oldest DNA samples found in our modern times date back 800,000 years and come from insects and plants. But studies conclude that DNA could take about 7 million years to disintegrate. And eureka! You'd find human DNA samples trapped in ice cores in what was once Greenland. Now, the big question would be, what do you do with them? Study human genetics for scientific purposes, or have a little fun? One idea would be to clone these ancient humans. You could even create some kind of Jurassic Park filled with people, except it would be called Anthropocene Park. And based on all that you'd put together about our tragic history, there would be so many entertaining things to do in this amusement park. Maybe you could clone other animals and play a game of mass extinction. The winner would be the one who could kill the most species in the shortest amount of time. You could dig for hidden oil reserves, increase carbon emissions for fun to watch icebergs melt. Or how about a game of nuclear war? Sadly though, you and the other scientists probably wouldn't be able to figure out what life was like for humans at the end of our civilization.
Do you ever feel like you're being watched? Not by a creepy stalker, but by aliens. Well, it might be happening. Just like we watch animals at the zoo, aliens may be out there watching us, like we're the zoo animals. But why exactly would they be doing this in the first place? Could they be afraid of us? This is What If? And here's what would happen if we lived in a galactic zoo. Imagine being trapped in a zoo. Well, if we really do live in a galactic zoo, then you'd already be in one. Aliens could be out there watching your every move. They may want to study the human race, or learn from our technology. Or maybe they're planning to attack us. But what if instead of attacking us, the aliens are afraid of us attacking them? Wait, what? If you've watched any sort of sci-fi movie, you may think of aliens as the bad guys. The ones who attack our planet and steal all our resources. Hey, shoot, get out of there. Get away. Go. But never mind humans being afraid of aliens. They may be afraid of us. Think about it. It's entirely possible that aliens have been watching Earth since the birth of humanity. If aliens have been hanging around since the beginning, think of all the horrible destruction they've seen humans cause. Deforestation, pollution, and let's not forget about war. Lots of war. Humans are constantly trying to kill each other. It's estimated that almost 1 billion people have died from war throughout history. So from the aliens' perspective, humans might seem like an incredibly violent, scary species. They may not want to make contact because they're afraid of how we might react, which could very well be with violence. And while aliens might be watching us, we aren't confined to a zoo. We have left the Earth and gone to the moon. But are we sure that intelligent life is even out there? Well, the odds are pretty good. The existence of alien life could be explained by the Fermi paradox. We have our sun, but in the universe there are billions of other suns. And they're billions of years older than our solar system. Orbiting these other suns could be Earth-like planets. And on Earth-like planets, there's a good chance of there being highly intelligent life. With so many worlds out there, there's an even better chance that at least one of them has developed interstellar travel. The Fermi paradox suggests that with interstellar travel, it would take a few million years to travel through the entire Milky Way galaxy. You may think that sounds like an incredibly long time, but if there's a civilization that is billions of years older than us, it would just be a tiny fraction of their history. So, if all this is true, which is very likely, the aliens may have already found us. And apart from us being a pretty violent species, we may not be interesting enough for them to make contact with us. We may just be another life form out of the thousands or millions that the aliens have seen. After all, if you see an ant colony on the ground, do you try to make contact with it? You most likely go along with your day. To other life forms out there, we may just be a simple group of ants. Ants they don't want to hurt or bother. Just observe. Another thing we have to keep in mind is how we communicate with the aliens. Ants in our world might be trying to communicate with us, but unless they send the right signals, we'll never know. The same goes for the aliens and us. We may not be communicating with the aliens the right way. They may not even know that we want to make contact with them, so they just leave us alone.
Are we alone in the universe?
With more than 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe, and at least 500 billion planets in the Milky Way alone, don't you think we should have found something by now? Even if a tiny percentage of those billions of planets hosted intelligent life, there would be tens of thousands of extraterrestrial civilizations out there. Yet, we haven't seen any. Where is everybody? We keep wondering what's taking them so long to come. But what if I told you that even the friendliest of all aliens could wipe out our entire civilization for good? This is What If, and here's what would happen if aliens visited us tomorrow. We tend to apply our theories to the rest of the universe. We expect aliens to come for a visit, even though we ourselves haven't traveled out of our own neighborhood yet. We just believe that they've had so much more time for technological progress to make space travel possible. So here they are, with their shiny alien spaceship roving above our heads. What would we do? As far as we know, no government on this planet has any sort of alien greeting party planned if aliens suddenly showed up on the horizon. Just try to keep cool. Say the aliens happen to be very polite and sent us a signal before invading our planet's personal space. Well, you wouldn't know it right away. Not until several observatories maintained by different organizations verified that signal. Yep, that's it. Aliens are here, now you know. You got this shocking news from your TV.
NASA officially confirmed
An alien ship detected in the solar system, not alone in the universe.
Agencies and countries around the world would be working together, quickly trying to assess the level of threat. They'd summon experts in linguistics, psychology, combat, and biology, and have them attempt to make first contact with the aliens. Groups of experts would record all interactions to analyze simple alien gestures and auditory reactions. Those would help to decide whether aliens came in peace or they intend to do some serious damage. Some people might believe that religious leaders should do all the talking. Something's telling me that aliens didn't learn our languages in school, so good luck to anyone trying to reach out to them. While the world's most intelligent people were busy trying to interpret the aliens' intentions to the best of their ability, you would be, wait, Aren't you curious to know what the aliens look like? Some evolution experts agree that things like proteins and DNA are the same no matter where in the universe you're from. If that's true, alien evolution would be close to that of humans. They'd have binocular vision with eyes located close to the brain. Just like us, they'd be based on land and have a minimum of 2 legs for mobility and 3 fingers so that they could handle tools. Still, if some of our own life forms look like this, try to picture something coming from another planet. Meanwhile, on Earth, while governments were busy figuring out the action plan, the media would be keeping you informed. You'd be advised to stay indoors and wait for further instructions. It'd be hard to filter out what's legitimate news and what isn't, but try not to fall for fake end-of-the-world news on Facebook and keep calm. At least make an effort to give up the urge to pack up your belongings and head for the hills. At the same time, the governments and scientific experts would be sharing information about alien interactions. From here, the events could unfold in a few different ways. First, we may not get any auditory or visual response. Nothing at all. This could mean anything from the alien spacecraft doesn't have any aliens on board to the aliens are waiting for their alien backup to fry us up. Another possibility is that aliens responded and tried to communicate with no weapons involved. I can't speak to their possible intentions. For all we know, they may want to get rid of us and keep the Earth to themselves. Thanks to the language barrier, our interactions might not be going well. Tensions would begin to rise. We'd be screwed. Considering that these beings had the technology to travel to Earth, it's likely that they also had the capability to develop some very, very advanced weaponry. Civilians would most likely be hitting the panic button as hard as possible. Meanwhile, governments would put their nuclear weapons on standby. That would be our best and most destructive weapon against them. Or so we think. It may turn out that the aliens have adverse reactions to things on Earth that we're all accustomed to. If, say, their skin melted upon contact with water, then defending ourselves against them would be simple. I'm not saying aliens would necessarily bring doom upon the Earth. They may not mean us any harm at all. But if some hazardous microorganisms from outer space hitched a ride with them and made it into our world, we humans might have no natural immunity to those extraterrestrial microbes, and they could slowly wipe our species off the planet. On the other hand, if aliens weren't coming here to make friends, we'd be destroyed long before we got a chance to offer peace between intelligent beings. In any case, we aren't ready for a visit from interplanetary travelers. We'd better get prepared for first contact. Or maybe we should try to invade alien worlds before they invade us. But that's a topic for another What If.